Anyway, so the ritual I did last night. This is gonna be a rambly video because I just started getting rambly, and then we got talking about some things that are of interest to people. It's very vague. People I know, I guess. So I thought I might as well just ramble on camera. Some of y'all like when I ramble. I do it a lot in my head. This is like a constant thing. Uh, I can do it out loud, but when I did it out loud when I was younger, it made me look weird. So I do it in here now. Anyway, so what I was rambling about was the difference between the senses of the material realms and the astral realms. Now, when I say realms, I'm using these terms very vaguely because there's no. I could say there's no English terms that properly describe them, but even the Sanskrit terms that describe the various levels, even if I knew them, which I don't, because it's really hard for me to remember Sanskrit even when I hear it. But basically, the astral realms are about, if we're going to use spatial comparison, because most people think that space in this universe and all the universes like just keeps on going. It actually doesn't. Now, for us, we may never, maybe I don't know how long it's going to take for this particular universe to collapse before another night of Brahma. Well, all the universes collapse, and then another day of Brahma. But another comes back in, another Big Bang, so forth. Everybody's spiritual level and is kind of saved, but it takes a long time for minute, basically elements to combine in certain ways to produce life. It takes a long time, with a little bit of help as well. And it takes a long time for those little cells that start out to become, things that can think like us. It takes a while. But once everything kind of gets to about there are times in every cycle that you reach a birth where you're picking up where you left off in the past cycle. I should have just started with that because I made it was way too long of a story. But you eventually reach that birth. I'm not sure if you know when you reach that birth, but it has been recorded according to Kriyananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, that your progress is not lost. Now, for me, I was trying to wrap my head around what that meant. So that's why I came to the belief that, it takes a while to get there, but then you'll eventually reach that life to where you pick up where you left off. That's what makes sense to me. I'm probably wrong about everything, but all I can do is guess, and I'm making my best guess based on my research, based on my understanding, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so all the material universes are 1/3 the rough size, and space is spherical. It feeds into itself. It's kind of like those movies where you walk through, you walk past the screen and then you come back into the screen. Space is basically like that in all the universes, and that's why there's a certain amount of it. Now, the amount boggles the mind. It'd break a feeble little human brain like mine, and it's already pretty broken, so I don't break it anymore. But the same is true with the astral realms. There's a certain amount of area. That area is 3 times as big as material realms. There's more possibilities there. Space itself, I'm getting this from a lot of Paramahansa Yogananda, Kriyananda, Swami Sri Yukteswar, Lahiri Moshe, Babaji, and the deeper teachings of Christ, and a little bit from Krishna. To be completely honest, I'm not real heavy on Christ or Krishna. I'm more of a God-based person than an Avatar person. That might seem weird. That's just kind of my nature. But I still value, I'm really glad that I didn't turn on the sound. I still definitely value the Avatars and recognize their purpose. I just kind of understand my orientation. But regardless, let's continue to ramble. So I think I was getting to a point. Not sure if I was. Was I getting to a point?
Well, you were talking about physical universe being 1/3, and then everything that's other area, two thirds.
I think I got the trail of Also, by the way, so I've had 2 hours of sleep. That was many hours ago. Last night, the speaking with the dead ritual, or calling out to the dead ritual. By the way, this is a segue. I'm gonna do this a lot in this episode. I don't know what the hell this is. Last night, I did a calling out to the. I designed this ritual for calling out to the dead, and honestly, I didn't want anything from them. I was just trying to open a pathway for communication, solidify it. Doing so in a sincere way. Everybody wants things. Everybody always asks for things. Honestly, I don't really ask Odin or Kalima for things. Most of my... So, the way that I pray is... God, it's a whole nother... I connect through direction of my eyes to my third eye and visualization and raising up my energy. And every time I eat, I'll at least do that and focus on the world in Kalima's lap, Hiranyaloka in her vast light form, and I'll offer food to that by both sending energy up my spine and not necessarily sending it, but feeling like I'm sending it. Because me saying I'm sending it is basically saying I've conquered all the chakras. That's not true. I probably haven't even conquered one. But when you visualize energy, it helps it along. And there's something that goes up. And I offer that to the light beings on this light jungle world of Hiranyaloka and Kalima's lab. By the way, nobody really gave me this visualization. I just had a vision one day. I could just be crazy. Who knows? We're all a little bit crazy. But last night. So that's kind of the way. I don't pray. My point was I don't pray to the gods or the dead and ask for things in the same way that most people do. Most of my working with the dead, my motivation and my direction of everything, even if it sounds like I'm asking for something, is to make greater connection so that I can aid the things. It sounds mean, but basically the dead are the pieces that are yet to be resolved. They're not in a permanent. And I consider most of the dead as no longer being attached to souls. That sounds very mean. But the vast majority of our energy and our existence I guess you could say a multi-dimensional way, most of it isn't soul. The soul is the divine spark. But I mean, there's still a whole fire of other stuff. The soul is a spark that can't be tied down. That's why we age. It wants to get out of us. That's from God, what's that guy's name?
Like mind stuff. Is that what you're saying? Like there's soul and mind stuff and body stuff and other.
Mind stuff is more like associated with what we would think of as like the ghost. So like the spirit and the ghost. Spirit and ghost are different. Spirit's more the life force we borrow from the earth. Swami Prabhupada. He's the one who I read his works on and meditated upon his works about the true antimaterial particle, because he talked about how antimatter isn't true antimatter because it would have a completely opposite nature to matter, which it doesn't. It just has a polar opposite. It doesn't have a different nature. Anyway, the true antimaterial particle, he said. All right, let me take another sip of vodka here. The true antimaterial particle is the soul, and it doesn't want to. It records everything. It can't be destroyed. And it doesn't want to be nailed down. So we age. It over time it stops our reproduction of cells. It degrades because the antimaterial particle is like, all right, slowly enough is enough. I need to keep on going. I've kind of done. I've kind of been a part of whatever I could in you. I'm gonna go and keep on going. That's what the soul is. All the other stuff. In different parts of it can make up what we consider as the dead. When I say the dead, I mean like just all this stuff doesn't mix together. So there are individuals among the dead, if you will. They just don't have that antimaterial particle. Now, there's still suffering and consciousness involved in the dead. And my whole thing is to help that be resolved so there's less suffering in what's left. And honestly, what's left I'm not going to tell you about you, but most of who I am, um, just isn't the soul. It's just not. It's very based on this life and what I've been through and the choices that I've made. There's an inherent nature that you really got to dig down in you and figure out where you're at as far as your spiritual path and what your nature is. That has a big influence. Don't get me wrong. So the spark has a huge influence on. I don't want to say huge. A pretty big influence on the rest of the fire. It's kind of like its influence is the inner side of around the spark. I'm kind of mixing fire terms. But just a lot of what we consider as us isn't the soul. A lot of people think that, well, shit, I do my best not to be mean to people's beliefs. Well, man, kind of fucked up already then, but, so a lot of people think that they're going to look like what they look like when they go to heaven. There's going to be a party that goes to heaven, goes to wherever you're going. And if you're a positive influence or you responded in an appropriate way to your situation in this world, it's likely that the grander flow of things, the grander presence, is gonna kind of push you towards where you want to go. You know, that part of you that's going to go to. So like you'll feel like you're going to. By the way, you can think that I'm talking out of my ass. I mean, because once again, I could be wrong about everything. Probably am. But here's what I think that I've learned and know based on my contemplation, rituals, research, and just really trying to figure out what's going on without trying to believe what makes me feel good. So, by the way, am I doing good?
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Excellent. So you will feel like you're going to heaven or wherever you're going to go to, Hiranya Loka. You will consciously feel like you're going there. I'm still unclear of if that part of you is going to remember all your past lives, or if that little part that's the immediate conscious you is just going to keep on being you. And I think that that's what's going to happen. And then eventually it'll either, come back down from that place naturally over time in a comfortable way. I'm not going to talk about if you were a real dick on this earth. A dick beyond your circumstance, or responding to things in a way that you didn't have to or was not understandable for your situation. Because that's not really the topic that I'm getting into. I'm already really off track. But so eventually it's going to be you're going to comfortably transfer back down here, and most likely that part of yourself is going to naturally filter back into that new fire that's with that the spark has made in another body. And then that's how all your lives are kind of attached to one being. Now, the dead. When I refer to the dead, I'm talking about the people that get stuck. There's a lot of people that just get stuck because they're very attached to things here. They never really thought of anything like, okay, what am I going to do? Most people like, okay, how do I get money? How do I live a happy life? There's nothing wrong with that. But most people's and you can be a very good person and not think about, or believe that there's anything beyond this one life. You can be a perfectly fine atheist and still the presence will, push you in the general direction of where, your natural essence would kind of want to go. But, so when it comes down to, so the dead, the way the dead get stuck, these are my ideas. I didn't take this from anybody else. Their self-conception was so much wrapped up in this world, even more so than, the average person has a really good shot about becoming one of the dead. A lot of people most people become part of the dead, like a little bit of a limbo for a little bit of the time. But there's some individuals that have been there for a long time, and there's some that have been there for just a little bit of time. And this is kind of where like weird people like me come in. We don't like people getting caught in places, and honestly, the dead, most of them don't want to be where they're at. Some of them don't realize that they're dead. They've deluded themselves into thinking they're still alive, or they just don't realize it. Okay, that can make you paranoid. But yeah. And some are angrily there, but more like in a stubborn way. Some of them can be pretty mean and still get stuck there and not flicked to a place where they're going to get back all the harm that they didn't have a right to do to somebody else. A lot of people that follow me aren't going to like this whole moralistic virtue talk. And honestly, if you don't, fuck me. Don't listen to me. I don't care. But there's some of us that are just born not liking things getting stuck in there. Like we kind of like feel it and we're just like, oh, everybody just, if you want to, because I don't make anything like go on. Sometimes that's not the usual circumstance. I just kind of want to get everything uncaught. Like I want to come, like, just everybody, let's all go, where we, where you honestly want to go. And because most don't realize that they're stuck or why they're stuck or how to get out. It seems like a very mundane job when you think about it, working with the dead in the way that I do. And honestly, there's no school or book or group for people like us. We're just kind of drawn to it. It's a very lonely life, actually. We're kind of in love with the work and also the dead themselves, getting them unstuck. I've only realized some of this recently, by the way. But we want to get everything unstuck. That's a very basic way of putting it. That's the least glamorous way of putting it, and also maybe one of the least descriptive.
These people caught as ghosts.
It's not necessarily so like a lot of what's part of an individual might be a ghost, and then there's other parts. But I don't get into that.
You say those that you work with, they're like when they were alive, they were caught up in the physicality of things mostly. I guess,
there's so many reasons that there's as infinite number of ways and thoughts and pre-existing conditions that cause a certain way somebody got caught. That's why we call them the dead, because there'd be trillions and trillions and trillions of different combinations of reasons you got caught. So no, I can't even say most.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Not only obviously I don't know, but also it's kind of not. It's only relevant in a very basic way. So like if you kind of most of the dead feel very similar. The more stubborn ones might fight you, and honestly, most of us just fight back. So they're like, you're just kind of like a fly that's latching out and everything, and you're not even helping yourself. So just go on where you need to go. But it's ask that question one more time.
Do you think these ghosts are ghosts because they're caught up in the physicality, the physical, material aspect of this life as a human being?
Shit, I thought that might give me where I was thinking I was going. Anyway, so that's kind of what before I get into, let me boil down what we were talking about, and I'll probably make another video. In the astral realm, astral beings, I got like another minute before it makes it to a video that's going to be really hard to publish for me because I use my phone. Astral beings that are in the astral heavens. I don't like to use words of heavens. Heavens is entirely inaccurate, but it's the closest thing that we have. The ones where there's a bunch of freedom because you've worked your way into that.
It's also called celestial.
Yes. Shit. I'm just gonna say it, and then I'll do another video. When many astral beings can all of their senses can be experienced through a single sense. Basically, you can smell, feel. You can smell, feel. I'm getting caught up.
Touch.
all the other senses, you can do it through your eyes. As many astral beings can do that. That's what we were talking about. That's when I went off on a tangent. That's where I was leading to, and then I got caught up in a bunch of other stuff, and that's why we got to 20 minutes. But so I was talking about. I'll do another video, and I'll just save these. But I was talking about a ritual that I did last night, and that I prepared for by starving myself for 28 hours, and then drinking very little water. And then unfortunately, I had made the stupid decision to take a substance and also drink alcohol, which had a very interesting effect on my body. Not a positive one, but it pushed me to I wasn't gonna die, and I'm pretty. Everybody says this. I've survived a lot. I'm pretty hardy. At the same time, it wouldn't have killed really anybody that wasn't like, very, very weak. But it really sucked. And that actually aided in the ritual. Because I still did the ritual. But I was giving an example to Josh about how when I was working with the black mirror, the eyes like to look into a black mirror and like see things. So we like to look in the black. Sometimes it's wishful thinking. Sometimes it's our eyes playing tricks on us because it's trying to make forms out of blackness. A lot of people that I say that, a lot of people are gonna hate my guts at me saying that. 99% of the time I saw something in a black mirror, that's what it was. I don't know what you experienced, but from what I hear from most people, it sounds like wishful thinking. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying 99% of the time, people don't know what they're talking about, and I apologize. But now, don't get me wrong. If you do it right, it's gonna work. It's just there's so much wishful thinking that it's so hard to. I mean, I like to say that I can figure out which people actually saw it, but not everybody's great at communicating, and a lot of what people say kind of like blends together. If you compare what different people say, even people that know what they're talking about when it comes to spirituality, and people that just use kind of the same words, you got to really analyze what people are talking about, and not a lot of. There's only so much information the average person takes from an experience like that. There's about a page of information, and so I don't even try to say, oh, you did it, you didn't do that. It's not. It's not my place. So but I will say that one thing that I discovered, I didn't even realize I discovered it until last night, but I mean, I had discovered this before. It's just I didn't realize I discovered it. Is that I felt through my sight, but without seeing. It sounds like I was just going through a trip, but this is actually kind of how I have gained that little bit of that sense. That's why I went to the astral beings, be able to like feel through their eyes, because the way I accidentally started to gain a little tiny bit of that was that I offer food up to I use my sense of feeling of offering food up to Kaliman on her on Yolokas, her on Yolokas in her lap, by using my feel sight. But I'm not really seeing with my eyes. It's a visualization feel sight. It was almost like I was visualizing, but I was just like looking at it, not even trying to visualize. I was feeling the outline of these white, ghostly, apparitions. They didn't feel bad or evil or anything. I'm going too long. I'll make another video. I'll go ahead and publish this now, just for shits and giggles. Let's say that. I probably shouldn't title it "Shits and Giggles," though, right? It'd probably be way off the mark. Anyway, I can kind of look when I'm tired. Luckily, I'm kind of coherent, hopefully. Yeah, I'm gonna publish either the ritual video tonight, or I'm not gonna do a lot of explanation in the video. I already published the introduction, so I'm closing my eyes a lot. It helps me think. Also, rubbing my head helps me think. All right, I'm getting goofy. So I'll publish the ritual within the next couple days. I'll publish this video now, but we're gonna continue with making videos tonight.